In this slide, we'll go through the milestone of survey and engineering process. I have the milestones under the activities column. In the next two columns in this example, I'm assuming that you will enter completion dates for building 1 and 2. You can replace buildings 1 and 2 with the buildings you are working with. You can also add more buildings if you wish. Milestones discussed here will typically be common for most buildings. One more thing, you don't have to memorize these milestones. I will have these as downloadable Excel spreadsheet in the course, so focus on understanding them. First one is building survey. Vendor will collect building information and any special requirement applicable to DAS construction. So for example, if this is a DAS for hospital, then make sure that the vendors know the rules regarding infectious control. This is a very important phase of the project where lack of information can make significant effect later on labor or materials cost. Next is benchmark survey. Vendor will collect this data by walking around the building. Benchmark survey is crucial to figure out floor by floor coverage goals. Engineers use various tools to complete this work as we have described before. Benchmark data processing. The data vendor collected in benchmark survey needs extensive post-processing. And although there are several data processing software available, this can still take a few days to sometimes even 2 to 3 weeks. And that depends on the area engineers are trying to cover. Make sure to get a summary profile from this data collection. Number 4 is determine coverage goal. Coverage goal has to be determined based on benchmark data. Engineers go through the ambient signal profile floor by floor to determine the coverage goal. Now note that if this is a new building and not yet constructed, as a customer, you may want the engineers to proceed with the design engineering portion and then do the benchmark testing once the exterior walls and windows have been placed for the building. This means design of the DAS may have to be adjusted once the benchmark data is collected. Number 5 is determining the zones of DAS. Engineers will determine how many DAS head-end electronics needs to be used. This usually applies to a campus with multiple buildings or one large single structure such as a stadium with a very large area. Number 6, prepare design. Engineers start design using software such as IBWave. They do link budget and propagation analysis and comes up with quite a few deliverables such as floor plans with electronics and antenna locations, cable routing, logical diagram, predictive propagation plots, rack diagram of hidden electronics, list of materials needed for the DAS, etc. Next, present design to customer and carriers. It's a good practice for the vendor to present these deliverables to customer. Now, when I say present, I'm not saying just emailing it to them. Actually have the vendors walk through the design deliverables and help customer understand to read some of these documents. If carriers or operators such as Sprint, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile of local market are already engaged in the project, send them the design deliverables to their engineers. It's always a good practice to get a buy-off from them early on in the project. Number 8 is update and finalize design. Based on the feedback from customers and carriers, design deliverables may have to be updated. Finally, compile and organize construction-ready documents. This is really not different design deliverables, but it should be in a format installation vendors will understand and build a good DAS out of it. And that wraps the survey and engineering phase.